Yesterday I promised that today we'd look at parents and children. That's what Paul does next. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. Children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord. This is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother. That's the first command with the promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you and you'll have a long life on the earth. Parents, fathers, don't provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. Here again, Paul lays down just a very simple framework for managing a household. Children are to respect and obey. Very, very simple. Respect and obey. It's interesting that Paul spends more time talking about respect, saying that this stems from the Old Testament, from the 10 Commandments, honor your father and mother. That means respect them. Parents are to help their children respect and obey. And then parents, don't anger your children, but bring them up. Now this word, bring them up, it occurs in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament. In Genesis 47, verse 17, when Jacob tells Pharaoh that there will be 7 years of plenty so they can prepare for the 7 years of drought. Pharaoh puts Joseph in charge of collecting and preparing for those 7 years of drought. And in verse 17, it tells us about those 7 years of drought. The Egyptians brought their livestock to Joseph in exchange for food, in exchange for their horses, flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle and donkeys. Joseph provided them with food for another year. He raised them up. That's literally what it says. So part of raising up is to nourish. We get that same idea actually here in the book of Ephesians, in the immediately preceding paragraph. Paul tells the man to love his wife as Christ loved the church. And in verse 29, in verse 28, he says, love your wife like you love your own body. And then in 29, he says, no one hates his own body, but he feeds and cares for it, just as Christ cares for the church. He literally says he raises it up. A man raises his body up. So parents, don't make your children angry. Instead, bring them up, nourish them, and bring them up with discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. Train them. Part of our role as parents is to guide our children into the paths of the Lord. So as a couple today, if you have children, if you are a couple, sit and talk together about what you can do to raise your children in the path of the Lord. Now, if you're a single looking for a spouse, spend some time praying for that spouse for your future children. Or if you're a single who is content in your singleness, pray for those around you who have children. Being a parent is a tough job, but with Jesus, we can do it. Tomorrow, we'll talk about masters and slaves. See you tomorrow.